What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zachary, who spices new topics every single weekend, jamming you with your daily dose of UFC, and we're fresh off of maybe the best event of the year with one of the saddest endings I've ever seen, as Jiri Prochazka got knocked out cold. My life is never the same. I was out at the bar in Nashville with all the boys. We were having a great time, and I checked my phone, and all I see is Carlos Ulberg knocks out Jiri Prochazka in round one, and I just went, dang it, and I slammed me a cold beer. No, I'm just kidding. I would never do such a thing. But on today's episode, we have a full recap of UFC 327. We're going to be talking about everything that went down and what is next for each and every one of the fighters on the card. As well, we have a few new UFC fights to bring to your guys' attention, a couple of fun things that have been announced over the last few days, and as well, we're going to look at the NBA season. As the NBA season is complete, the playoffs are upon us. Every single game has been played, so I don't know who's going to win the play-in games. We'll have to see, but I guess I should probably done it on this episode, but I think on the next episode, when we do a little WrestleMania and UFC Winnipeg preview show, we'll actually do our NBA predictions as well, because why the frick not? So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right on into it with the first thing on today's agenda, which is new UFC fights. And by the way, if you heard me correctly, yes, I was just in Nashville this past weekend. It was absolutely legendary. I highly recommend you go to Nashville with your boys. It will not disappoint. One of the most fun towns in America. I will definitely be back. And I'll tell you who else is going to be back. It's Abdul Rahman Yakhyayev. That is right. He's already getting another fight. This kid's an absolute workhorse, and he takes on Julius Walker at UFC Baku. He's also speedrunning all of the most mediocre fighters in the game. I mean, he recently beat Rafael Sequeira and Brenson Ribeiro, both in very easy fashion, and now he'll take on Julius Walker. Julius is 1-2 in the UFC, holds a win over Rafael Sequeira as well, so we'll see what happens, but should be easy work for Abdul Rahman Yakhyayev, but he's quickly becoming one of the hottest light heavyweight prospects in the game. He's 9-0 with all of his wins coming by finish, except for maybe one, but so far, Dana White's Contender Series and 2 UFC wins all have come by finish. Also, coming at you guys, a new little heavyweight action fight at UFC Vegas 116 on April 25th, as Marcus Bukechka back in action. He's 0-1 with a draw in the UFC as he takes on Ryan Superman Spann, another average heavyweight as they come. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Ryan Spann's either going to get a knockout or get a submission loss. There is no in between here. I really hope the heavyweight division can recover. Now, I will say the heavyweight division has kind of reset the bar for itself after UFC 327. Stay tuned to hear about the Josh Hogan Curtis Blades fight, because it was freaking obscene, if you ask me. Also announced UFC Vegas 117, May 16th. You have Jeremiah Wells and Nicholas Dalby. That's a super fun fight. 2 aged welterweights just throwing it down. Honestly, I lean Dalby because you know what? I'm a big Dalby fan, and we'll see how he does. Another fight announced for UFC Winnipeg. Ooh, glad I didn't write down my notes yet, as Jamie Siraj takes on John Yanis. John Yanis is 0-1 in the UFC, and Jamie Siraj is making his UFC debut. He's from Canada, so good stuff for him. I wish them both luck. We'll have to preview that fight when it comes up. UFC Macau going down in China on May 30th has a welterweight fight as Ding the Ruthless Assassin Meng. What the frick? Ding Meng, the Ruthless Assassin, who is 35-9, makes his UFC debut as he takes on Jose Enrique, who's making his debut coming off of the Contender Series. Yeah, Jose Enrique, wrap it up. Ding Meng is coming to take your head off. I absolutely love it. And then one of the more fun fights I recently saw announced for UFC Macau on May 30th, Angela Overkill Hill, of course, the number 14th ranked woman strawweight, Angela Hill, legend of the game, takes on Zhang the Panda Jingnang, the one champion currently, 19-2. She is an absolute freaking warrior. Now, both these ladies pushing 40. Actually, Angela Hill has already surpassed 41. This could be a fantastic fight. I gotta lead on Zhang Jingnang, coming over for one championship. If there's anyone who's going to stop her, it's going to be Angela Hill. Fun fight between 2 aged veterans, Jim Miller and Jared Gordon, going down at UFC 328. I love this fight. May 9th, the exact type of fight these guys should be having in their careers right now. Jim Miller is still hunting for win number 40 in the UFC. And as for Jared Gordon, in his professional career, I should say. And as for Jared Gordon, I mean, he's coming off a little round one knockout of Thiago Moises where he looked very, very impressive. So I'm very excited to see how this fight goes down. Should be a fun one. And then the last fight to bring your guys' attention as the biggest one we're going to save for when we discuss UFC 327 because it was actually made right after the show as Max Griffin takes on Victor Valenzuela. That's not the big fight. That's the last fight I had to bring to your guys' attention. Max Payne Griffin, 18-fight UFC veteran, wins over Carlos Condit and Mike Perry. He's fun. He takes on Victor Venezuela, who is making his last name is actually Valenzuela. Wow. Just like the country, who I think beat Yusaku Kinoshita on some event of some kind. But he's from Chile. We'll see how his UFC debut goes. But those are all the big new UFC fights for you guys to be aware of. A lot of fun ones. A lot of fun ones in there. I know we're still waiting to see what's going on at UFC International Fight Week. Right now, we're kind of booked out to UFC Freedom 250. But there is news broke that Gable Stevenson is actually going to make his UFC debut at International Fight Week. So, Gable Stevenson officially coming over to the UFC, one of the best grapplers of all time. And I believe he's 3-0 in MMA. He's either 2-0 or 3-0. I'm pretty confident on 3-0. So, exciting stuff. Make sure to check all those out and let me know who you guys think are going to win. Also, let me know your guys' thoughts on the NBA. I didn't really watch it this season. I just had literally no interest whatsoever. I was employed, but I could say, just from doing a quick little glance, that not much changed from last year. Jazz finished at 22-60, as did the Kings, actually, 22-60, to tie for the two worst teams in the West. And as for the East, the Wizards finished again as the worst team with a 17-65 record. Wow, they suck. They actually ended on a 10-game losing streak. That's crazy if you ask me. Indianapolis Pacers, who were in the NBA championship last year, finished 14th in the East and actually finished second to worst in the NBA with a 19-63 record. Same goes for the Nets. They finished third worst, 20-62. Not just in the East, but also in the entire NBA. Chicago Bulls go 31-51. Awful season for them. Bucks 32-50. What's going on with Giannis? We don't know. And as for the play-in teams, Heat, Hornets, Magic, Sixers. So Hornets and Heat, I mean, just from a quick glance here, none of this is official predictions, but Heat 43-39 snuck in. They're taking on the Hornets at 44-38. Give me the Hornets, man. I love this Hornets team. I want them to go far this year. A little LaMelo Ball, a little Concanupple. Let's run it. 76ers and Magic at the 7 and the 8. I don't know. Let me go Magic on that. I really like the Magic. Both teams went 45-37, but I do like that Magic team. Hawks at the 6 going 46-63. Wow. Who is on this Hawks roster now that they traded away players? They got CJ McCollum, Buddy Hield, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Corey Kispert's now on the team. Obviously Zachary Richard, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, big three right there. Honestly, good stuff for their team. They're going to be playing the Knicks, the 53-29 Knicks, who finished third again. Man, great year for the Knicks as per usual. I think the real question is, how will they do in the playoffs? I do think they'll beat the Hawks, but how will they do in the second round? As for the 4 and the 5, the Cavs finishing 4, another top year for them, 52 wins, only 30 losses. And at number 5, the Raptors, 46-36. What a turnaround year to be a Toronto Raptor. I'm happy for them. Ended the year with a bang. Good stuff for them. Who's even on this team? Brandon Ingram. Wow. Brandon Ingram quickly still in the league. You got RJ Barrett and Scotty Barnes, of course. Grady Dick. Gotta love him. Jakob Poeltl. Oh, Jamal Sheeb. The Houston legend of, college basketball. Garrett Temple still on this team. Wow. You even have Jacoby Walter. Baylor legend, if I'm thinking correctly. And as for the number 1 and number 2 teams, the Pistons finished as the number 1 team, 60-22 in the East. They were the third best team in the league, ending 8-2 on the year. They actually went 31-9 on the whole year at home. That's very impressive. And as for the Celtics at the number 2 seed, 56-26. What more do you want from the defending, 2 years ago, were defending champions. I guess they're not defending anymore, but the Celtics at the 2 seed, good stuff there. I definitely got Pistons, Celtics, and Knicks all advancing, and probably the Cavs. I probably have every top seed advancing, but we'll have to see. We'll make a little bracket on the next episode. But as for the East, fun stuff. Pacers were definitely one of the biggest letdowns. Same with the Bucks, and always is the Bulls. For the Western Conference, of course, Grizzlies 25-57. Not a good year for them. Mavericks 26-56. Gosh, whoever thought they should trade Luka Doncic? Not me. But I'll tell you, they have the Rookie of the Year and one of the greatest statistical rookies of all time in Cooper Flagg. And on paper, guys, I want you to understand that the starting roster for this team can literally be Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg. You could do either Marvin Bagley or Daniel Gafford, and then you could even throw Derek Lively second in there. They have such a nasty starting lineup, but just could not gel together whatsoever at all. Mavericks, rough year. Pelicans also missing the playoffs, 26-56. Sneaking in at the 10 seed with a 37-45 record, a -8 game record on the year is the Warriors. They'll play the 42-40 Clippers, and honestly, I like their odds to win. Trailblazers turning it around this year, going 42-40. Shout out to them as they play the Suns at the 7 seed. Suns probably going to win that, but hey, Trailblazers, I'll be rooting for you. At the 6 seed by Minnesota Timberwolves, 49-33. We just miss out on a 50-win season, but we just would go on we would go on a win streak, losing streak, win streak, losing streak. We do end on a 2-game winning streak, and we'll need momentum as we play the 54-28 Nuggets, who, by the way, at one point were in the play-in game, and they won the last 12 games of the year. Oh my gosh, Nuggets, 54-28. You know, I would rather play the Lakers, Rockets, and Spurs over the freaking Nuggets, and we're going to have to play the Nuggets. You got to be freaking kidding me. 4 and 5 seeds, Rockets go 52-30, and the Lakers 43-29, and on a 3-game winning streak. Probably going to be rooting for the Rockets to win that, but for the Lakers, a lot is expected of them. It would be cool to see LeBron make one more last playoff run, because I don't know how he's going to do next year, with presumably last year being his final year in the NBA. 2 seed is the Spurs, 62-20. One of the greatest turnarounds I've ever seen with Victor Wembanyama, and the Thunder finished number 1 again in the league, 64-18 with 64 wins, 18 losses. Legit one of the best NBA teams of all time. 34-7 at home, 30-10 away, and they go 41-11 in the Western Conference. Impressive stuff. For the Thunder, definitely riding with Thunder and Spurs to get past, any of our play-in teams, but definitely don't know about the Timberwolves. They can get it done. Obviously, I'll be rooting for them. Top 5 points per game on the year. Just do a quick little stat run with you guys. Luka Doncic, 33.5 was the top guy. Shea at 31.1. And Anthony Edwards, 28.8 at number 3. Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey also chilling out there. Most rebounds per game on the year. Nikola Jokic at 12.9. Shout out Rudy Gobert. 5th most, 11.5, and Victor Wembanyama also had 11.5. So I guess they tied for the number 4 spot. Assists per game, Nikola Jokic again, 10.7 assists per game. Wow, good for him. Field goal percentage, Rudy Gobert had the best field goal percentage at 68.2%. Wow, that's awesome. And as for the most 3-pointers made on the year, 273 for Concanople, 272 for LaMelo Ball. Who doesn't love that Hornets team? Legends of the game. Blocks per game, Wemby has 3.1, blowing everyone out of the competition. Oscar Thompson and Dyson Daniels both go 2.0 on steals per game. Do you know how insane it is to get 2 steals per game for an 82-game season? Impressive work there. So, a lot of fun stuff in the NBA. You best bet that Cooper Flagg is winning the Rookie of the Year. It's not even going to be close. And for MVP, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you who MVP is, but you guys let me know who you think won it, because I honestly did not pay attention. But I'll tell you what I did pay attention to, and that was UFC 327. I freaking loved it, guys. I loved UFC 227. I'm just jumbling my words out because I was going to say I love it as much as I hate it. Here's your official recap of UFC 327 as a lot went down. Kicking off the card, we're in the men's welterweight division as Charles Radke took on Francisco Prado, and little disappointed, man. No disappointed. The end of Francisco Prado in the UFC, one of the highest underdogs I was on for this card. Luckily, I hit on a couple underdogs, but man, real bummer on Francisco Prado. Just clearly not cut out for the UFC. Gets grappled to death by Charles Radke, and really round 1 was awful. Got taken down twice, barely even landed a significant strike, and couldn't really fight his way back. Radke goes 4 of 5 on takedowns, 9 minutes of control time. Now, Prado was getting some reversals, trying to throw up some submissions, but just too little, too late. And Charles Radke grapples his way to a decision victory. 4 takedowns, 9 minutes of control time. That'll do it. Radke will extend his winning streak to 2 straight wins, and he's won twice in the last year, I'd say. So, good stuff for Radke, getting it done. Lots of options next for him at 35 in the men's welterweight division. Yeah, maybe I'm matchmaking with Randy Brown. Honestly, we're just going to matchmake him with Randy Brown because it's easy to do on this card. As for Francisco Prado, it sucks. It really sucks. 4-fight losing streak, 1 and 5 in the UFC after coming in with a bunch of momentum. But here's the thing. He hasn't been finished. He hasn't been knocked down. He's never really been in jeopardy of being finished, and yet he just, for the life of him, can't win a decision to save his life. Now, you can give him a bit of, leniency on the Jake Matthews, the Daniel Zellhuber losses, but Nikolai Verkaninov and now Charles Radke, there's just nothing left to do with Francisco Prado. Now, the one redeeming quality, he's 23. He's literally my age. Francisco Prado has the next 7 years, maybe even less than that, maybe even 5, to go leave the UFC, pick up a boatload of wins, come back as a whole new experienced fighter. Look at Charles Oliveira, look at Max Holloway, look at Conor McGregor. They all had to start somewhere, Francisco. Go out there, but your time in the UFC has come to an end. So, unfortunately, Francisco will probably not be re-signed. And as for Charles Radke, I'm just going to matchmake him with Randy Brown, who we will discuss in just a quick moment here. Next up, middleweight division, Vicente Luque runs through Kelvin Gastelum, one of my favorite underdog picks I made, plus 210. Should have bet on him. I didn't bet, but you know what? It is what it is. It happens. Vicente Luque getting his 10th career submission, 21st career finish, and he will improve professionally to 24-12. First win, actually, since December 2024, and he does it with his signature Anaconda choke. Who doesn't love the little Anaconda choke with Vicente Luque? Quite as simple as it gets, he drops Kelvin Gastelum with a nasty straight, locks in Anaconda choke, and night-night, Kelvin Gastelum, goodbye, had to tap out. So, amazing work for Vicente Luque at 34. I don't really know what we do next to it, my boy. There's a lot of options for him, but hell, getting it done. Love to see it. If I could think of a name to throw out there, I would honestly go with someone like is he fought in Santiago Ponzinibbio? I don't think he's fought in Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think you could run that up. We also discussed Jeremiah Wells taking on Nicholas Dalby earlier. That could be a fight you run, but hey, did what you had to do, Vicente. Got the win here. Amazing freaking work. As for Kelvin Gastelum, finished only for the second time. Actually, I think it's third time in his entire UFC career. Of course, it was fourth. Fourth time finish by submission in his career. He's been going win-loss, dating back to 2021. I don't really know what you do with Kelvin, if I'm being honest. You know who Kelvin Gastelum should fight? You know who really I think he should fight? Maybe someone like a Teba Gaudier. If a Teba Gaudier starches Ozzy Diaz like we think he should, Kelvin Gastelum I think is a perfect step up in competition for him. So Kelvin Gastelum and Teba Gaudier, Vicente Luque versus winner of Jeremiah Wells and Nicholas Dalby. Let's run it. Next up, we had a majority decision draw, which is actually originally announced as a unanimous decision victory. As Chris Padilla and Marco Medeiros fight to a split decision, a draw, I should say, majority decision draw. And the best part about this being a draw is that literally on the prediction show, I was like, these guys are so even, I can't predict a winner. I'm just going to go with Chris Padilla, but it's a flip of a coin, and that's exactly how this fight played out. Now, we open up round one, fun stuff, Chris Padilla, Marco Medeiros. It's close. It's pretty close. You can maybe give it to Markel. You can maybe give it to Chris Padilla. But round two, big Chris Padilla round. Big Chris Padilla round. Let me be honest. Chris Padilla dominated that round. 63 significant strikes to 44. It was awesome. Round three, another close round. In my opinion, I thought it was going to Chris Padilla, but clearly two other judges saw it rounds 1 and 2 to Marco Medeiros. Hey, it is what it is. That's how close this fight was. I know they probably won't, but I would love to just run it back. This is one of those majority decision draws where I think running it back would benefit both guys because 147 significant strikes to 112. They both only land one takedown. They both defend 3 takedowns plus. I mean, impressive work if you're asking me. Chris Padilla is 30, Marco Medeiros is 20. You can still run it up. And the best part about this is both of their winning streaks are still intact. Chris Padilla at 7, Marquel at 9. So let's run it back, gentlemen. Clearly, you guys both belong in the men's lightweight division. Let's see it, gang. Let's see it. Next up, women's strawweight division. And one of my favorite things about this podcast is when I predict something and it comes true, literally to a T, as I correctly predicted that Lupi Godinez was in over her head getting a shot against Tatiana Suarez. And lo and behold, it came true. Now, does it always come true? Absolutely not, as we're going to learn in a second. But shout out Tatiana getting a finish. Tatiana Suarez in the big 2026 getting her 8th career finish, 6th career submission, and remaining the number 2 women's strawweight on the planet. And hey, I thought even if she won, she shouldn't get a title shot. But hey, at this point, I think you've earned a title shot, Tatiana Suarez. Round 1, face some adversity. Okay, face some adversity. Was taken down twice by Lupi. Obviously got back up. Obviously, was able to reverse and take control of the fight. But round 2, stuck to her game plan, managed to get on the back after landing 2 takedowns. And both of these ladies, a 100% takedown percentage. Very impressive. As I said before, on the feet, Lupi Godinez looked a bit more ahead, but on the ground, it was just Tatiana Suarez's realm. And in a 7-minute and 29-second fight, when 5 minutes and 12 seconds of control time is going to one fighter, yeah, you're going to get an advantage there. So Tatiana Suarez extends her winning streak to 2. And I honestly think she could be in the title shot category. They're probably going to give Zhang Weili the next title shot against Mackenzie Dern, but whoever wins that, let's do it. Let's make Tatiana Suarez fight for the belt. I think she has deserved it. For Lupi Godinez, just wasn't ready. Literally wasn't ready. I'm just not surprised whatsoever. Who should she take on? Maybe Tabitha Ritchie. Tabitha Ritchie, although they fought in 2023 to a split decision, so maybe run it back a few years later. So Tatiana Suarez, Lupi Godinez, literally back-to-back weeks. Both women have to fight someone who is just too high above them in skill level, but hey, it is what it is. Tatiana Suarez is just far better. It's how it goes, Lupi. I'm sorry. Next up, men's lightweight division, and lo and behold, this fight actually went way better than I predicted it going, as Mateusz Gamrot destroys Esteban Ribovics. Not even close. Not even close. A complete shutout in all aspects of this fight. Esteban only lands 4 significant strikes and only landed 1 in round number 1. 4 of 6 on takedowns for 6 minutes and 50 seconds of control time. 4 minutes in round number 1 for Mateusz. Round 2, sticks to his game plan, takes down Esteban. That just kind of locks up a half guard out of nowhere and puts in an arm triangle. And I was like, oh my gosh, let's go. Let's go. Gamrot getting the submission win. And look at that. 6th career submission, 14th career finish. And my man Mateusz getting himself another win in the UFC. First finish since freaking 2023. All long overdue, my guy. But yeah, Mateusz Gamrot really in need of a victory, and he's going to remain ranked at number 8. So exciting stuff. As for Esteban Ribovics, just way too high. How did this guy go from Esteban or from Elvis Bretter and Nasrat Haqpasarat to Mateusz Gamrot? I don't know what we were smoking, but hey, it's okay, Esteban. You're still young, you're still talented, and there's a plethora of lightweights out there for you to go throw down with, okay? That's all I want you to know. And I got a couple in mind for him, maybe like a Mateusz Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki has been in 3 straight Fight of the Nights, okay? Esteban Ribovics is a Fight of the Night machine if you know him well. I mean, this guy has actually, I think, a Fight of the Night victory over someone. Who does he have? No, he's had 3. He's had 3 in the UFC. So 2 guys who've had 3 Fight of the Nights in the UFC, recipe for success. Let's run it. As for Mateusz Gamrot, he is going to be fighting someone of a higher caliber. He's now 26-4. And Mateusz, he's up there in age. He's 35, but there's still time to make a run for the title. I don't really know if Renato Moicano would be a next option. It's tricky. The cutout for him is going to be at Benoit Saint-Denis. It's everyone below that, and below that is Paddy Pimblett, who I think should fight Renato Moicano. It's Dan Hooker, who Mateusz has already fought, which you could rematch, and I'd be perfectly fine with it, but it kind of is what it is there. But I'm thinking what's next for Mateusz Gamrot, and if I'm being honest, it's a lot of options here. It's Farzam at 15, Manuel Torres at 14. It's Mauricio Ruffy if he can knock out Michael Chandler. It's even Quinlan Sakiad if he can defeat Beneil Dariush. So there's a lot of potential options for Mateusz Gamrot, but I unfortunately think that it's going to be someone in the rankings next for him, and not above him, unfortunately, below him. Pause. Next up on the prelims, Kevin Holland, Randy Brown, and yeah, let's go. A Kevin Holland shutout on the scorecards. I still have no idea how Randy Brown got a freaking main event against Gabriel Bonfim. Still never understand that, but I have no idea how Randy Brown survived round 2. Kevin Holland had a beautiful Dar Sandaconda choke locked in, whatever you want to call it, whatever it was officially for you nerds out there. He had it completely locked in, and Randy Brown somehow survived to the buzzer. Very impressive work, and I think more impressive work to Kevin Holland, picking up his first win since June of last year. The absolute workhorse that he is, kicking off the year with a win. He's now 29-15 professionally and is 16-12 in the UFC. So he's hunting for win number 30, and I can't remember who he called out. I think he wanted to rematch people for some reason. He wanted to rematch Mike Mallet and Daniel Rodriguez, which, to be fair, those were close fights. Probably should rematch someone like Jack Della Maddalena. I mean, he literally, I thought, beat Jack Della Maddalena, but for Kevin Holland, no, Kevin Holland does fun fights, and I think Colby Covington would be a fantastic fight. Colby Covington, Kevin Holland, I'm going to keep advocating for it until I realize that it's never going to happen and Colby Covington's never going to fight again, but I still think it would be ridiculously fun. So Let's make that happen. Or else you can run back Daniel Rodriguez and Kevin Holland, because Daniel Rodriguez is just freaking not fighting, and I hate when guys do not fight. But I'll tell you who is fighting: Bellator fighters in the final prelim of the evening, as Aaron Pico took on Patricio Pitbull, and it was a shutout for Aaron Pico. This is the Aaron Pico we were expecting against Leron Murphy. And man, did this boy deliver. An absolute shutout on the scorecards. Alicia Rodriguez, what were you doing giving Pitbull maybe round one? I don't even know what round he could have given Patricio Pitbull, but absolute bogus if you ask me. Pitbull shut him out, nearly dropped him so many times. 100 significant strikes to 49. Does go 6 of 13 on takedown. So Pitbull had some excellent takedown defense. But one thing I'll say, as the fight went on, you saw a better looking version of Aaron Pico. So amazing work for Aaron Pico. Great way to bounce back from your first defeat against Patricio Pitbull, or from Leron Murphy, I should say. And now he's going to be ranked at number 13. Yes, so Aaron Pico is now in the mix to get ranked fighting opportunities. He's going to be able to take on guys like Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen could be a fun fight, depending who wins between him and Mokoso Costa. David Onama, Josh Emmett, maybe even a Yusuf Zalal, Aljamain Sterling loser. A lot of options for your boy here, and I think Aaron Pico is in for big things as we get 2026 rolling along. As for Patricio Pitbull, he's been more of a, he's 1-2 in the UFC, and, the last year hasn't done anything really exciting, I'll say. All fights have kind of been duds on his end of the spectrum. So, if anything, I think you should run him against another veteran of the game, but there really isn't anyone for him to take on. So, for Patricio Pitbull, maybe you stick around for one more, but honestly, if you retire, I don't think anyone would hate on you. You're just not really cut out for the top level of the UFC. But still, impressive performance by Aaron Pico, and I'll be excited to see him get a ranked shot next as well. Not for a belt, but for a ranked opponent. Then we got into the main card, which went 4 of 5 on fights, and we kicked it off with a bang, guys. I cannot believe it. Cub Swanson gets the fairy tale ending as he utterly kills Nate Landwehr, drops him twice, outstrikes him 37-15 significantly, all in a 4-minute and 6-second span. Wasn't even close. This guy is an absolute animal, and I absolutely freaking love it. Cub Swanson, you bloody legend, ending your career with a round 1 knockout at 42 years old. 14th career knockout, 19th career finish, goes 16-10 in the UFC, and ends on a 2-fight winning streak. Cub Swanson, take a bow. Take a bow, Cub. Take a bow. Hall of Famer, legend. I can't say anything more. I regret not picking him. I'll say it here and right now. He is probably the only fighter I regret not picking. Actually, I regret a couple on the main card. It was not a good main card for me. I went 1-4, but I'll say that Cub Swanson, Nate Landwehr kind of did irk me a bit. It was 50-50. And the only reason I went with Nate Landwehr is because I was in Tennessee, which is where Nate Landwehr was from. So, amazing work for Cub Swanson, legend of the game. As for Nate Landwehr, he's been knocked out his last 3 fights. He's 1-4 in his last 5. I don't know what we do with Nate Landwehr, but I don't really know. Maybe he should fight someone coming off the Contender Series. They're just not really a lot of options there for him. Maybe Billy Quarantillo. Billy Quarantillo recently lost to Cub Swanson. Actually, not recently. December 2024. Not recently at all. So, hey, how about the last 2 guys Cub Swanson knocked out? We just both have square down, all right? I think that's the best course of action. Let's make it happen. Now, after the absolute fun that was Cub Swanson knocking out Nate Landwehr, we were legit treated to one of the worst fights anyone's ever watched. I mean, and you may be wondering, oh my gosh, who was it? Was it 2 unranked women? Was it 2 heavyweights? Was it 2 aged veterans who decided to do nothing, or 2 prospects who decided to do just no action? No. It was Dominic Reyes and Johnny freaking Walker. What? I tell you, yes, it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And to make matters worse, I think a lot of people thought Johnny Walker won and Dominic Reyes won a split decision. It was hilarious. I mean, just no action. Just no actions. No one took a risk. No one was like, hey, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and just be an absolute savage. No, none of that whatsoever. Just nothing. Just slop, if you ask me. But all you can really say is Dominic Reyes won. We correctly predicted it. Good stuff. Cheers, boys, is all I'm going to say to that. But, I mean, just shame is all you can say to that. So, yeah, Dominic Reyes back in the win column, though. Shout out to the boy. First win in a year. Good stuff for Dom, and he's going to continue to be ranked at number 10 in the rankings. For Johnny Walker, just another loss in the career of Johnny Walker. He's going to be ranked at number 12 still. So, what do you do next? Dominic Reyes versus loser of Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov. I think only if Bogdan Guskov wins. I'd also maybe like to see him versus Jamal Hill. And then for Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker, what do we do with Jonathan Walker? Let's think here. Definitely giving unranked vibes, but also Dustin Jacoby. I feel like Dustin Jacoby has earned himself a little fight here. Dustin Jacoby is on a 3-fight knockout streak. Yeah, let's give Dustin Jacoby a nod here. Dustin Jacoby versus Johnny Walker. Let's run it. I think it might be a rematch, actually. Have those two fought before? No, they haven't fought. So, yeah, Johnny Walker, Dustin Jacoby, age veteran of the game. Love it. For Dominic Reyes, Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill versus Dominic Reyes, because why the frick not? But, yeah, that fight absolutely sucked. And then after it, literally one of the worst fights of the year, we were treated to the best fight of the year. And on the prediction show, I said there was no chance in the world that Josh Hokett was going to win. I will happily eat my words, as Josh Hokett is the best thing to happen to the heavyweight division since sliced bread came into this universe. Because holy cow, is Josh Hokett a bloody legend. Is he cringy? Yes. All right. Does he act dumb? Yes. Does he act racist at times with his gimmicks? Absurdly, yes. Is he one of the most just weirdest human beings you've ever met? Absolutely. And he is also now about to be ranked number 5 in the heavyweight division in the world, as he absolutely goes to bloody war against Curtis Blades in a 29-28 absolute throwdown. Fight of the year. He also won performance of the year. He also gave him 8 middle fingers throughout the fight, and just crazy. Just absolute crazy, ladies and gentlemen. From the get-go, these two are swinging for the fences. Here's the significant strikes for you. 177 for Hokett, 174 for Blades. Total strikes, 214 for Blades, 181 for Hokett. Curtis goes 2 of 7 on takedowns for 2 minutes of control time. Hokett goes 0 of 1. Josh Hokett also lands an insane 82 significant strikes in round number 3. These two take a bow. And I mean, Josh Hokett, literally all he was throwing was just 1-2s down the middle or straight, or just an overhand straight. And they were all connecting right on Curtis Blades' face. Oh my goodness. And then Curtis would throw back and wobble Josh Hokett. And I was not able to watch any of these fights live. Okay. I went back on Paramount Plus and rewatched this entire fight. It is one of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen. You can go back and rewatch because it's just so much fun. Josh Hokett, born entertainer. Call him cringe, call him what you want. But this guy is 9-0. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He's had 3 performance bonuses and a fight of the night in only 3 UFC fights. He's also a Contender Series Season 9 veteran, and he also cashed in at plus 120. Wow, Josh Hokett, you bloody legend. And you may be asking, guys, how do you follow this up? What do? How about Dana White sitting next to President Donald Trump at UFC Miami, and Donald Trump goes, I want to see him fight Derek Lewis. And you know what Dana White does? He says, okay, so added to the UFC White House card is Josh Hokett versus Derek Lewis. You can't make this up. The UFC can be awful at times. It can also be bloody brilliant. This is currently fight of the year. This is currently the best heavyweight fight we've seen in, how long, boys? A long time. Let's just say this is doing numbers for the heavyweight division in stock. And as for Curtis Blades, despite losing, I think his stock rose here. I mean, my man Curtis Blades has never had a fight of the night. All right? My man Curtis Blades has not been in an entertaining fight in a long time. Here he is, getting it done, finally beating someone, and I was fairly impressed. Or not beating someone, finally actually engaging in a war with someone, and I absolutely loved it. So, shout out to both of these guys. Josh Hokett gets to take on Derek Lewis at the freaking UFC White House, which is awesome. And as for Curtis Blades, there's a lot of options for him. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do with Curtis Blades. I think maybe, has he fought in Sergey Spivak yet? Have they made the rounds against each other? I don't think him and Spivak have thrown down. I just say we run that fight just because those two have been in the UFC for a decade now and haven't crossed paths. It's just a fight to do, but man, Josh Hokett, yeah. Josh Hokett's legit, and my boy got hands. Josh Hokett has hands. I was a hater. I wasn't really a hater of Josh Hokett. I just didn't think that. I thought Curtis Blades was too big of a jump for him. Turns out he always belonged in there with the Curtis Blades of the world. So, UFC 250 Freedom is going to be bloody brilliant. Shout out to Josh Hokett. Fight of the night, performance of the night. Man, what can I say? This made UFC 327 legendary. Co-main event as well. I mean, guys, I don't know what's going on in the big 2026, but Paulo Costa just shut out the undefeated Russian Azamat Murzakanov and is about to be ranked at number 6 in the men's light heavyweight division. What the heck? What is this career revitalization of Paulo Costa right now? I have no freaking clue what's going on, but round 1 outstrikes him 21-7 significantly. Just a shutout. Round 2, Azamat landing a takedown. He actually attempted a submission, outstruck him significantly, 23-19. Paulo still landing a bit more damage. And then round 3, Paulo clips him with just a dirty head kick, and Azamat is wobbled, literally just curls up in a ball and accepts defeat, and Paulo Costa gets the freaking victory. Paulo Costa getting his first knockout victory. Get this, since 2018. Insane. This is the first time he's won back-to-back fights since 2018 to 2019. Insane. Insane from Paulo Costa. And, man, good stuff for him. Good stuff for him. You've just unlocked a little Pandora's box of opportunity here, Paulo Costa, and way to jump on it. Another underdog cashing. And get this, guys. Get this. Of the 5 main card fights, 4 underdogs cashed. Crazy work. Absolute crazy work on this. So, shout out Paulo Costa. Getting it done. Good job, Paulo. You've unlocked a lot of new fights. You have. You could take on Jiri Prochazka. You could take on Khalil Roundtree Jr. You could take on Azamat Murzakanov. Bogdan Guskov. You could take on Magomedov Ankalaev. Sky's the limit for Paulo Costa, but at 34, now's the time to dial it up a notch. For Azamat Murzakanov, a lot of bounce back opportunities for him. Obviously, you have a Dominic Reyes fight. You have a, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do Azamat Murzakanov. He's somehow ranked at number 6, but Bo just hasn't been doing really much of anything. And this fight really showed the skill gap between Azamat and Paulo Costa. So, shout out Paulo Costa, getting it done. What a good co-main event. What a good follow-up to Josh Hogan and Curse Blades. An impossible fight to follow up, and I think this was the perfect thing to do. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we got into the main event, and do I even have to talk about it? Do I even have to talk about it? Just, heartbreaking. Heartbreaking if you ask me. Now, first off, shout out Carl Suberg. Carl Suberg just won his 10th straight UFC fight and just became the UFC light heavyweight champion. Shout out to bro. Shout out to Carl Suberg getting his 9th career knockout. Another championship goes to the City Kickboxing Gym. Shout out to Carl Suberg. But I will say is that Jiri Prochazka's honor cost him this fight. And it was hard to see, on a throw, the entire, I don't know if it was ankle or if it was the lower leg. I think he tore his ACL from what reports are saying. But Carl Suberg's leg was shot. It was shot to the point he couldn't even throw a punch properly. And Jiri chose to strike with him because he didn't want to, be this, he didn't want to capitalize. He wanted to show honor to Carl Suberg and to just trade and fight with him, and out knocks Carlos Suberg. Carlos Suberg knocks him out with a minute 15 left in round number 1. Yeah, and it's sad. It's sad because it's not like Magomedov Ankalaev getting knocked out by Alex Pereira. All right? It's not like, I'll say, what's another good example of like someone that you don't really care for getting knocked out, something like that. But everyone likes Jiri, and it sucks to see. And, Jiri has just been knocked out again. All right, now he's never in a boring fight. Every fight he's been in, he's either gotten a performance of the night or had a performance of the night against him, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira style. And, man, Jiri's going to be back. Jiri's probably ready and gunning to get back. That's why I think a Paulo Costa fight would be fantastic. But for Carl Suberg, it's just not good. All right, light heavyweight division's cursed. Okay, Carl Suberg, whether torn ACL or not, is not fighting the rest of the year. Okay, and people are going to say paper champion, but look, the guy knocked out Jiri fair and square. Yes, his leg was cooked, okay? His leg was absolutely cooked, but he got the win. He'll be back. I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold the belt, but here's the thing. This also isn't like a UFC 282 or 283 situation where you can just create a new light heavyweight title fight. There's no one else to fight for the belt. Like, there's legit no one else to fight for the belt. Alex Pereira's gone to heavyweight. He's on a side quest. His light heavyweight time in the UFC has come to an end. You have Magomedov Ankalaev at 1, but he's coming off a loss. Jiri at 2, he's coming off a loss. Khalil Roundtree Jr. at 4, coming off a loss. Jan Blachowicz coming off of a draw. Azamat Murzakanov coming off a loss. Paulo Costa is probably the best bet. Paulo Costa versus Jiri Prochazka. All right, that's the fight I want to see next. And as for Ulberg, I don't know what to tell you, man. Heal up, get it together. I do feel bad for you, but, man, good stuff overall. UFC 327, ending with a bang. It was easily the best event of the year. I'll say hands down, it was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. Even if we all do at 6-5 on predictions, worth the watch. Really, really was. So that'll conclude UFC 327 in Miami. We are on a little Not picking the main event correct streak here, and I'm not too happy about it as we head into UFC Winnipeg, where Gilbert Burns takes on Mike Mallet, which is, who knows what we're going to see. Charles Jourdain's the co-main event somehow, but you have a lot of fun debuts on this card. Julian LeBlanc, Mandel Nalio. We discussed Jamie Sirachi earlier, okay? It's not a strong card whatsoever, but it is what it is. So we'll preview it nonetheless on the next episode, where we're also going to be dropping our NBA playoff predictions and your official WrestleMania 42 review. Yes, I love wrestling. I love WrestleMania. That's on the next episode of the podcast. But yeah, for now, ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend you go to Nashville. I highly recommend you go back and rewatch that Josh Hoke at Curtis Blades fight. And I highly recommend that you catch us next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.